Hi everybody, this is Anne. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 easy pottery projects you can create from cookie cutters. It's always exciting to be able to use items you find around your house in your pottery projects. It's very convenient and it's much less expensive than ordering from the online pottery supply store. One item I have a big collection of are the metal-shaped cookie cutters. I'll show you how to construct projects and I'll give you multiple ways you can use them. All these projects require you to use rolled slabs, some of which will be very thin and tricky. So I'll show you the way that I hand roll my slabs with the least amount of sticking, stretching, and distorting. First, I start with a soft but not soggy clay and begin to roll and stretch it on the top of a non-stick plastic pastry mat. To get a consistent width for the slab, I use these wooden 1/8 inch packing strips on either side and rolled the clay out. I trimmed it up a bit and then used a red rib to compress and smooth the surface on both sides. I knew I'd only need about half of this slab, so I cut it down. I removed the slab from the mat and shook out some cornstarch. Now I can place the slab on top and it won't stick to the mat for the next steps. I decided to texture this slab with a plastic paper imprinting mat. To keep that from sticking to the clay, I brushed more of the cornstarch to the textured side, then placed it down on the slab. First I rolled it with a rolling pin, and then I used my fingers to make sure I got a good impression. The clay still came up with the mat a little bit, but it released cleanly and I got a nice texture. For this very thin slab, I'm going to use my tiny cookie cutters. This cutie is a little leaf shape. I like to tap the bottom of the cutter in the cornstarch to help with the release. Then I can center the cutter over the part of the texture that I want to highlight. Then I push the cutter down to make the cut. I found that the clay still liked to cling to the inside of the cutter, so I used my fingers to gently push down on the edges of the clay so it released. I did the same thing with this little apple shape. I also thought the swirl bird texture would look nice with the acorn shape too. To dry these, I transferred them to a clean bat and covered them with another bat. When they were leather hard, I used a bamboo skewer to make holes for stringing. Now here they all are glazed and fired. These would be great for earrings or charms for a necklace or even as markers for wine glasses. Now I'm going to show you how to roll the slabs for bigger cutters. Again, I rolled out the clay, but this time I used a little thicker slab, 1/4 inch. I stacked 2 of the wooden packing sticks together and aligned them on either side of the slab, and then roll. Again, I compress and smooth the slab on either side with a rib. Then remove the slab so I can shake out the cornstarch. You can see that the clay moves around freely without sticking to the mat. This time I'm going to texture the clay using a non-stick, doily cut stencil. To get an even impression all the way across, I used a rolling pin to push the stencil down. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I have this antique handled cookie cutter that I think will look really nice on this texture. I center it and then push it down to make the cut. Again, the clay stuck to the inside and I used my thumb to gently detach the clay without stretching. Again, I place the wet clay on a clean bat and cover it with another bat to dry. When the clay is leather hard, I use the end of a small straw to cut a hole for stringing. Here it is, all glazed and fired. Note that the back of it is unglazed, so I can write a note, a date, or a name with a magic marker if I want to use it as a gift tag. Now I'm going to show you a more dimensional project. I had a leftover 1/4 inch slab, so I rolled the same doily stencil on the top part of the clay. Then I rolled this wooden laser cutout over the bottom section. As the wood doesn't stick as well to the clay, I used it without cornstarch. Next I took this nice snowflake-shaped cutter, centered it over the part of the texture that I liked, then made a cut like this. I then had a smaller snowflake-shaped cutter that I used over the bottom texture. I lined up the smaller snowflake over the bigger one, traced around it, scored the back of the snowflake, and slipped it into place. I'll put the snowflake aside for now. Here's another stacking idea. Out of the 1/4-inch clay slab, I rolled this geometric stencil over the top. With this angel cutter, I centered it over the texture on point and made the cut. The top diamond becomes the little face of the angel. For personalizing the piece, I cut out a rectangular placard 1/2 inch high and 1.5 inches wide. I cut this out of clay, scored it, and attached it to the bottom. This way I can add a date, someone's name, or even the name of your dog. To dry these, I placed a sponge over top of both and covered it with a bat which will apply pressure over the clay to keep the edges flat. You can also put a bag of rice or a sock full of sand over top to apply the pressure. Here's the final glazed pieces. Again, these would look nice as an ornament on a door handle, in a window, or even on a tree. Now I'll play around with hanging several pieces together to create a mobile. I wanted to roll this metal grate texture on the surface. Since metal sticks, I first placed this piece of plastic wrap over the clay, then put the metal over that and rolled it onto the clay. I used this cool maple leaf cutter over the texture and made the cut. For fun, I used the tiny acorn cutter to cut the center out of the maple leaf like this. I transferred them to a bat for drying. Then when they were leather hard, I cut holes in the top of both and bottom of the leaf for stringing. Now here's another cute mobile idea. Again, on a 1/4-inch slab, I rolled the squared shelf liner over the slab. I had this rather large round lid and used it to make a nice circle cut. On the slab, I again rolled the shelf liner over the top. Then with the same shelf liner, I altered the pattern over the top of that and rolled it again to create this interesting pattern. From this textured slab, I cut out 3 little gingerbread people. I also had these bigger cutters, which I placed over a non-textured 1/8 inch slab, and I made cuts from them. I positioned these gingerbread people over the circle cut and scored and slipped them down. I dried them between the flat bats like the others, and when they were leather hard, I cut holes for stringing all of these together for a nice family mobile. Again, you can use these for ornaments to hang from the bottom of a light fixture, in a window, on a doorknob, on a tree, or even outside in a garden. For this project, I rolled out a 1/4 inch slab big enough to cut 3 of these stars. I then used a ruler to cut each star in half. I then used this bevel cutter to cut angles at 45 degrees along the center line of each opposing star half. I then scored each bevel, slipped one side, and attached the edges together. On the inside, I attached a rolled coil and pushed it into the seam and smoothed it. I then smoothed out the back sides to create a nice corner. Then I attached the first two star sections together by scoring the back sides of the two and slipping them together. I then scored and slipped the third corner to the back side of the other two, like this. I rolled coils and pushed them into the seam lines, making sure there's a coil in between each section. Then I spaced each slab out so it was symmetrical. I poured Amico Celadon smoke glaze over the top, and then dipped the top into the Amico Celadon snow to create this snowy effect. Finally, I'll show you how to make light bulbs using my thumb and thick foam. First, I rolled out a 1/4 inch slab and cut out two of these light bulb shapes. I used the bevel cutter to make 45-degree cuts from the rounded outer edges of the bulb. I went ahead and scored it now to minimize excess handling later. I then transferred the slabs to a thick piece of foam. I used my thumb to push down on the center of each slab so the edges curled up. I turned these over on a flat mat and pushed the bulb bottoms flat. Then I pushed the edges of the clay down flat to the mat with my fingers. I scored the inside edges of both and slipped one edge. I then attached the two slabs by working the two edges together. Because there's air trapped in this piece, be sure to poke a hole in it to allow the air to escape before firing. Now I wanted to create the screw socket of the bulb. Xiem cut this strip of grooved rubber mat out for texture. I rolled an 1/8 inch slab and rolled the mat on it. I cut that out and rolled it around the wooden handle of a brush. I trimmed off the edge, lapped the clay over the edge, and cut both edges. I scored and slipped the edges and attached them together. I then scored the bottom edge and attached it to a flat slab like this. I cut off the excess clay so that now I have a capped top for the bulb. I scored the bottom of the cap and the top of the bulb and attached them together so that I now have this shape that stands flat for easier glazing and firing. I let that dry to leather hard, then used my needle tool through the side of the textured cap to make holes for stringing. Again, make sure you've made your hole from the top of the light to the interior to let the air escape before firing. The bulbs are easy to glaze as they're small enough to simply dip into the glaze jar. Xiem made this ingenious system to hang the bulbs so they can drip and dry. When they were dry, we dipped the screw section into the ochre celadon glaze. Didn't they turn out neat? I think these would look so nice strung together, hanging across the top of a doorway, or ornaments on a tree, or even hanging on a holiday gift bottle of wine. If you've used your cookie cutters for clay projects, let me know in the comments section below. If you liked our video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time in the studio.